Have you ever heard the legend of Himargus Pappa? No? Well, pull up a chair. Himargus Pappa wasn't your typical sweet cookie-baking grandpa. Oh no, he was a force of nature, a grumpy whirlwind with a heart. Well, a heart that was definitely in there somewhere. See, Himargus had a vision, a grand, slightly questionable idea. He decided his town needed a new school. Not just any school, but a school built his way. So, one day, Himargus put on his dusty overalls and set out on a mission. He became a master scavenger, a collector of the forgotten, a stack of mismatched tiles from a demolished bathroom. Perfect for the new science lab floor. That slightly too green, moldy-looking lumber behind the old warehouse. That's character, my friend. That's the future library wall. He'd grumble to himself, waste not, want not, as he loaded his rusty wheelbarrow with discarded window frames and oddly shaped bricks. The townsfolk would just shake their heads and mutter, "There goes Himargus again." Piece by piece, this bizarre mosaic of a school started to take shape. It was a patchwork masterpiece of recycled, repurposed, and frankly, rogue materials. The roof had tiles of 3 different colors. The walls leaned in a way that defied geometry. And the front door was a magnificent, creaky thing he'd borrowed from a barn. He called it the Himargus Pappa Academy for practical knowledge. Practical was right. You practically needed a map and a tetanus shot just to navigate the hallways. But a school needs more than walls and a wonky roof. It needs teachers. And Himargus knew just who to recruit. He didn't post ads in the paper. Instead, he went straight to the source of all worldly wisdom and unfiltered opinions, his knitting circle. This wasn't your average knitting circle. This was a squad of the grumpiest, most formidable grannies you've ever met. There was Granny Mildred, who believed the only way to teach math was by screaming multiplication tables until your ears rang. Her motto was, if you can't hear it, you can't learn it. Then there was Granny Agnes, the history teacher, who taught entirely through dramatic reenactments of historical events, often using garden gnomes as stand-ins for famous figures. And let's not forget Granny Pearl, the gym teacher, who insisted synchronized complaining was a competitive sport. The first day of school was an event. Kids, dragged by their curious parents, stared at the strange building. Inside, they were met by a symphony of shouting. Granny Mildred was bellowing fractions in one corner, while Granny Agnes was leading a charge with a plastic sword in the other. Himargus Pappa stood at the entrance, arms crossed, a rare, almost smile on his face. He watched as the kids, initially terrified, slowly began to enjoy themselves. They learned to calculate the angle of a leaning wall in math class. They learned history by acting it out with passion. They learned that mold isn't just mold. It's a science experiment waiting to happen. The school was chaotic, loud, and probably violated a dozen building codes. But it was alive. The kids weren't just learning facts. They were learning to be resourceful, to find joy in the imperfect, and to never, ever underestimate a grumpy granny. The Himargus Pappa Academy became a local legend. It was a testament to the idea that sometimes the most unconventional methods, born from the most stubborn hearts, can create something truly special. It proved that you don't need shiny new things to build a community. All you need is a bit of stolen tile, a few angry grannies, and one very, very determined old man. What a story, right? Makes you wonder what other legends are hiding in plain sight. Thanks for listening, and don't forget to look for the magic in the mayhem. Catch you next time.